The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. It's your midweek fix for racing news and information. Brought to you by the Championship Racing Network. Now let's head trackside to join your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson. Welcome into the latest edition of Crossed Flags. We apologize. We are about 24 hours later than what we would like to be, but there's a good reason for it. I'm Steve West. Matt Nicholson here as well. Producer John in the background taking care of us. Producer Molly going to help out as well on all of that. I've been dealing with a sore throat issue all week long, and yesterday finally got a little bit of help when it came to the whole situation, so it really worked out very well. It gave my voice about another 24 hours to be able to respond. Matt, on the other hand, you had a family emergency, which gave me that 24 hours. Hoping everything is okay. We're not going to get into the full details of it, but everything is better now?
Yep.
Okay. It is. That's what we like to hear. All right. So let's get into this. After COTA, well, good news, bad news situation, okay? Let's deal with the first things first, the bad news, because most people like to rip the Band-Aid off anyway, right? So the bad news is for Joe Gibbs Racing, their driver, Austin Cindric, got slapped. And slapped might be a pretty good word, because this could have been a much harder hit, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
Austin Cindric docked 50 points, fined $50,000. This is because early in the race at COTA, he intentionally spun out Ty Dillon. Now, this could have been a whole lot worse because NASCAR has been talking pretty big games here. I mean, you think about it. His brother, Austin Dillon, for hooking Denny Hamlin, had a playoff, had his playoff contention stripped from him. And NASCAR's way of looking at this is because it happened at a road course. It happened at a much slower speed. Ty Dillon didn't hit anything, and they didn't even have to throw out a yellow flag. Are you 100% buying this reasoning for not giving him a bigger penalty?
Nope, and I'm not the only one that's not buying it either. From the simple fact of you got the instance last year at Richmond,
right?
Right hook that happened. You got a couple years ago at the 600 when Chase Elliott right hooked Denny Hamlin.
I've heard that as
you got Carson Hocevar's situation where he right hooked someone in a truck race.
Sure,
I could go on for a while. But the reasoning that you give is because it was at a slower speed and he was able to drive away.
And he never hit anything. Those are NASCAR's reasons.
It does not matter. You have a precedent set. You've done it before. So basically, Pandora's box is wide open now because Martinsville retaliationville.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
And Martinsville is going to be the new retaliation track because, okay, so if it's at a slower speed and I can right hook somebody, it's fair game. I'm just out $50,000.
Yeah. Then at the very least, this will be reason for appeal. Hey, you only fined him $50,000. You didn't take away a playoff contention. You didn't take away this. You didn't take away that. You only fined him and docked him so many points.
They didn't lose owner points, but they lost driver points.
Exactly, because I guess I understand that part of it. I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little bit. I guess I understand that part of it because it's not like he was ordered to go after Ty Dillon. This wasn't something that the team said, yeah, go do. This was something that Austin Dillon said, you know what, I'm going to do it. In that way, I kind of understand it. And I heard somebody today kind of throw a different slant on it. And I've been wrestling with how I feel about this particular explanation. Talk about mitigating circumstances, okay? And the mitigating circumstances happen at a road course, happen at a slower speed. Ty Dillon didn't hit anything to where it might have caused injury. NASCAR didn't have to throw a yellow flag, blah, blah, blah. And some of that had to do with they kind of equated it to the mitigating circumstances of committing a crime, say breaking and entering. what did they take? How much was it worth? Was there weaponry involved? Was there not? Was there previous records, or is the guy doing a first offense and all that? And it did give me some interesting food for thought when it came to it. But in the end, NASCAR puts down a specific rule and says this is what's going to happen if. And if they don't follow through with it, then you're pulling out your own teeth.
Pretty much.
So at some point in time, they're going to have to go, this is the rule. This is how it's going to be enforced. And it doesn't really matter what the mitigating circumstances are, because if that's the situation, man, we could argue mitigating circumstances from now until the cows come home.
That and then some.
So, yeah, I think you're very, very correct in talking about how this opens up a humongous Pandora's box here, because what they've done is they've said, hey, if we look at this the right way or the wrong way, either you have a rule or you have a viewpoint.
I'm trying to figure out who's going to be the first one to test it, because somebody's going to test it.
Oh, sure.
And
I'll be real honest with you. It wouldn't have surprised me that if Ty Dillon has the chance to do it, Ty Dillon does it to Austin Cindric.
I can see it happen.
I mean, you and I have both been very much on the record. We're not really big fans of either of the Dillon boys. And Ty Dillon probably even less so than Austin, only because of, I would like to think that Ty Dillon got that 10 car for something else other than his name, but I can't give him that because there's nothing in his driving record that shows that he's worthy of being in that 10 car. And he came up
RCR.
Yeah. He came up and he jumped up and he did a little bit of a bump on Austin Dillon. I get that. We see that at road course racing all the time. So yeah, I'm in a strange position of actually defending Ty Dillon here. He did a little bump. We see this all the time at a road course or and at a short track for that matter. And Austin Cindric took it to the nth degree in retaliating. No, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Ty Dillon goes, you know what? I didn't deserve anywhere near the retaliation that you gave me. So I'll tell you what, here you go. Swing.
Yeah, we'll find out here before too long, because I guarantee you it's going to get tested.
At some point in time, I think you're right. It may not be this weekend, but hey, we talk about how these racers have very long memories. And you being a driver yourself, you know this. Mm-hmm. You have very long memories, and you are going, hey, I'm going to get you back in some way, shape, or form. If it's beating you on the track or taking you out of the track. One of the two.
Yep. You just have to use the correct one at the appropriate time.
Exactly. And we'll get back into this a little bit more on the big show on Saturday morning as well. Sunday morning. No, Sunday morning is church. Saturday morning is showtime. The other one is also a little bit of a surprise, but in the opposite direction. Joe Gibbs Racing driver Chase Briscoe, you might remember, had a fairly hefty penalty levied against him after the Daytona 500. 100 driver points, $100,000 to the team, crew chief James Small suspended for 4 races. And correct me if I'm wrong, Joe Gibbs was also docked 100 points as a car owner on the 19. Correct. All of those were massive hits where before the appeal was heard, after COTA, the third race of the year, he was still sitting negative 28 on the year. I mean, this was a massive hit on points for Chase Briscoe. And let's face it, 4 races on a suspension for a crew chief is nothing to sneeze about. And it all had to do with them saying that it was an illegally modified spoiler, but Joe Gibbs Racing said, hey, listen, we've got video that we can show you that shows that as we have pulled bolts out and put newer spoilers on there, depending on which rules package we're using, it has actually messed with those holes that are used to bolt or screw in the spoiler to the deck lid.
Yeah, because they don't put new deck lids on for every race.
Exactly.
Because these single source parts, and they're only allowed 7 cars per team for the
Yeah.
whole year. One car is going to get used at multiple places.
Exactly.
So, I'm using an example for a couple years ago, for 2022, when Ross Chastain won COTA in Talladega in a few short weeks' time.
Mhm.
A car that won COTA is the car that won Talladega.
Yeah.
That's on the record from Phil Surgeon.
But those are 2 different rules packages, which means you have one size
Spoilers got
spoiler
changed.
for the road track. You have one size spoiler for the quote unquote plate race that is Talladega.
So, yes, so when you change spoilers and you're taking those bolts out, whether people realize it or not, anybody with common sense and a brain knows anytime that you put a bolt through a hole or a screw through a hole and you change it out and put a screw right back through there, that hole's going to elongate by the slightest of fraction every single time.
Sure.
It's going to. So I knew this wasn't going to hold water. When I read the breakdown of what they got them for, I said, this ain't going to hold.
Yep.
Because you can't determine that a bolt hole to attach a spoiler to a deck lid was illegally on purpose modified when that deck lid is used at multiple facilities with multiple spoiler packages.
So what happens is the 3-person appeals panel agrees with the way that you looked at it. They listened to the evidence that Joe Gibbs Racing brought. I probably bought video and or pictures. I don't know which, but I wasn't sitting there. I'm not one of the 3 people that was on the appeals panel. But whatever evidence Joe Gibbs Racing bought, the 3-person appeals panel agreed. They restored the 100 points to driver, team owner, rescinded the $100,000 fine, and rescinded the 4-race suspension for crew chief James Small. So everything basically is forgotten. And this puts them obviously in a much better position. So here comes the question, because we know that NASCAR is already starting to look into fixes for this. Is there a fix for this? Because we're talking about single source parts. One would assume that when it comes to single source parts, the body is considered one thing, but can the deck lid be considered separate from the rest of the body?
Yep. Just like the hood and the greenhouse on the roof.
All
It
right.
can be considered separate.
Let's, you and I just kind of spitballing here. Would you be willing to have a single piece molded deck lid spoiler integrated into it and build a certain number of them based upon one rules package and a certain number of them based upon another rules package? Because I'm not so certain that there's any other solution to this problem of those elongated bolt holes.
There's not, because it would be very, very hard. I mean, it would be excruciatingly hard to have a singular molded deck lid and a singular molded deck lid and a spoiler together, because of how it would have to be made and how it would have to be manufactured. So that's why you have detachable spoilers, to be able to get it reset and get it to whatever track specs you need to hit. Right. But to have 19 bolts holding a single spoiler in is absurd.
Agreed.
Absolutely absurd.
And I'm not so certain why there's 19. I don't think we've ever heard of specific reason for that, have we?
No, you could have that spoiler. You could have that spoiler held on, and I'm looking now because I'm visualizing how the pattern sets and how it aligns to the deck lid. You could have that spoiler held on 2 outside on each side, 2 outside. So that's 4, and then 3 rows of 2 in the middle, spaced out adequately to where it pins it down to the top of the deck lid. You can have that thing held down with 10 at the most.
So drop it in half, basically.
Yeah, you could drop in half easily.
Okay. Well, it's going to be very interesting to me to see exactly how it is that NASCAR decides to go through with this. Because, again, we know they're looking at fixes, especially after this ruling. The question is whether the fix makes sense.
And a lot of things they do to try to fix something doesn't make sense, because they try to fix a lot of what's not broken half the time.
Exactly. And how many times have we said that? Stop fixing things that aren't broken. We'll give you the points ramifications when it comes to both of these, because the Austin Cindric situation really hurts him Chase Briscoe obviously benefits. We'll give you the full points rundown of how all of that changed during Saturday morning's big show. Hope you join us then. Don't forget, subscribe right down there below. We appreciate it, I know, and our friends over at Jocks do as well. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. No doubt about it. Saturday morning. I don't know why I'm wanting to say Sunday. But yeah, Saturday morning. Don't forget to join us. 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. Right here, CRN Live on YouTube. Obviously, if you happen to be in East Central Alabama, please listen to us on the radio. We'll give the flagship a big shout out, 95.1 The Mountain. We appreciate them very, very much. Thank you very much for joining us again. Subscribe down below. We appreciate it. Tell all your friends about it as well. And we will join you Saturday morning with this and so much more from all of the racing world of all the series that we cover when it comes to the Championship Racing Network. Thank you for joining us here on Crossed Flags. On behalf of Molly, producer John, Matt Nicholson, I'm Steve West. We'll talk to you Saturday morning.
You've been listening to Crossed Flags, a racing podcast. For more content like this, subscribe to CRN Live on YouTube, and you'll be set to catch the 2-hour live show every Saturday morning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.